every now and then you want to sight down the edge of this blade to see which way your bevel's going. I don't know if you can pick that up in the video, but it's actually coming off more to this side. So I'm working on taking more off of this edge and a little bit more off of this edge on the end here. I know the camera can't pick it up because of the darkness in the metal, but if you feel this, it actually feels like it's got more of a lump on one end, like right there, than it does here. Here it's lumped out, here it's smooth. It may have been made like that from the factory just to help it with splitting and stuff like that. But I said it's sharp. I've got a good wire edge on it. When I get done putting the handle on it and it's dried and cured, then I'll put the buffer on it, and it'll be shaving sharp. But right now that wire edge is keeping it from really biting in as good as it could. As you can see, it's still pretty good. This is a piece of young river birch. It hadn't flaked yet, but it's pretty good. I'll get it hair popping sharp here with the buffer, and it'll be ready to rock and roll. I'm not going to sand this down too much. There's some markings on here that might be better left alone. So I'm not going to re-blue the head. I don't want to sand it down to re-blue it and mess up any of the markings, but I am going to take off some of this epoxy here. Alright, set that aside. Now, I said I'm going to use an epoxy to help hold that wedge in, or at least I hope it's going to hold the wedge in. And I'm probably going to have to, because of a little gap there, I'm probably going to have to put a piece of wood down in there as well. Something just like a little piece of wedge like that to hold it tight so it doesn't rattle around. But the epoxy I use, of course, is Gorilla Glue. This is just a great all-around epoxy that'll glue anything down. Get this. But the Gorilla Glue, it has to be wet in order for it to work. So we're just going to dunk the end of that in some water real quick. Get my little rag here and get some of that excess off of there. And then we're just going to put some on the wedge that I made for it. We can get any to come out. I've had this bottle for about 3 years. All right. Got a good bit on there. Get our little axe head and slip it on there. And let's see if we can drive this home without it splitting on me on the way down. It's split, but it's almost tight. I said I've got to put a wedge in the front of this thing. That's tighter, but I want it tightest. So let me cut me another wedge just to run down the front of it here, and I'll get back with you fellas in a minute. Alright fellas, I got me a wedge here for the front and the top. We're going to tap that down in there as far as she'll go. Get some of the glue off at the end of my hammer, because it's starting to ooze out now that it's taken a set. The Gorilla Glue works under pressure and water, so when you wet it, it starts the chemical reaction. And then when you put it under pressure, such as it is under that wedge there, that starts the bonding process. So that's in there. I mean, that's tight. That is super tight. And as that Gorilla Glue dries, it'll actually form itself in there into little nooks and crannies and swell and bond with everything. I actually had to cut the end of the bottle off to get any out of it. It's been sitting there for so long. And I may want to do one more little wedge just right back here at the back, just to add a little bit more tension to it. Peel the bark down off of this. Just kind of smooth that up a little bit. But I want it to be a little bit of a wedge so that it'll go down in there. And then we're going to take this down without cutting the end of my finger off. But we'll start from this end. Take that down into a wedge. I think that'll work right there. Get us a little bit on there. Without getting it all over my Mora, so I don't glue it to the inside of my sheath. I need to go pick up some more Gorilla Glue. And we'll just get that down in that hole. Tap that down in there as well. That's fine if it breaks off, because we're going to sand the top of this when we get done. We'll sand the top of this in a couple hours when it dries so that it's smoothed out, and then we'll put a coat of oil on this to refinish it.